Okay, so hello everyone. I think this is the most random podcast of all. So I had a meeting planned with our guest today, Moshe. So it was not about like being recording a podcast, but the thing was so the topic is so different and it's so used these days. Outcomes and visions and product strategy that I thought that why not we record it and share it with everyone. So
Mhm.
thank you for bearing with us. And hi, Moshe. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Hi, Tanuj. How are you?
I'm also doing good, Moshe. Sorry, it was a surprise for you as
No
well.
worries. No, I love surprises.
Okay. Once we discuss about outcomes and everything, I just wanted to know you to tell everyone that how did you come into product management and something about yourself.
Yeah, of course. So people who know me already on LinkedIn know how much I love talking about product.
Right.
And I started my career in engineering. So I was
Mm.
doing for 20 years product development, like
Okay.
software development,
Mhm.
many different positions on the engineering side. And then about 10 years ago, I decided to, sorry, I decided to focus only on product management because I saw that need to bridge between
Mhm.
what clients want and what the business want to what
Right.
we're developing as engineers. Before that, I never had a product manager on my team, so I was really wearing that hat for many years.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even
Mm-hmm.
know that I was wearing that hat, so it was quite an easy transition for me. But since then, I learned a lot about modern product management. What does it mean to be a product manager? How do you
Right.
work with a team? And many frameworks to do it. And that's why I also love talking about it.
Right.
Just a plug in, I also have a podcast about products, and I'm co-hosting this podcast with
Awesome.
with Matt Green from Atlanta.
Right.
I'm, by the way, in Toronto, and
Okay.
yeah, so we are talking over there about products that product people are using. So it's called Product for Product,
Right.
um, and you can listen to it on all the different podcasting platforms. And it's really interesting to learn about all the different products that exist out there that different product people are using.
Using, yeah, I think it's interesting. So in this, like you mentioned about the various hats that you pull, but you didn't know that you were doing the product thing, right? So how did you
Right.
come to know that you are doing the product job? Now you have to shift to it. And what is the first book that you read about product management? So two questions.
Oh, um, yeah, I think that about 10, 12 years ago, I started, seeing that there are more product management positions out there.
Right.
And I got interested to see what it is. But most of it was from marketing perspective,
Okay.
and some of it was from um, what we do these days on product. But you really have to you have to ask what is it that the job is about.
Mm-hmm.
So back then they used to call it technical product manager
Right.
to differentiate from marketing product manager. These
Okay.
days, there are still technical product managers positions out there, but it's mostly product manager.
Okay.
uh, but the first book I read about product management, that's a good question. Um, I think it was, I'm looking here because I have some books on my desks, and I think one of them is this one. It's the Lean Product Playbook by Dan Olson,
Right.
which is a really good book about that give you a framework to find product market fit.
Okay, I think that's an interesting book. We picked a problem which needs to be solved by AI, and like so we do this on customer chats, right? Which I told you. So customer chat, social media, emails. So they need sentiments and they need categories. What are the top categories people are talking about, right?
Mhm.
So the machine learning, the first model that we deployed gave an accuracy of 52%. Okay, and
Mhm.
they customers still kept on complaining, but they were initial customers. That's okay. They knew it that they are also paying very less if I
Mhm.
compare it with any brand outside, and also they
Mhm.
don't speak. Bahasa, right? They don't understand Bahasa. So it took some time, but once we focused, so one thing I loved about like product vision, you always keep on talking about it, right? And I could never get that because I was new. So I could figure out that my product vision would be for that is to remove that manual processing or category tagging in Excel. So what they do, they have a million chat, and there are 10 people sitting reading each comment one by one and putting this into this category, putting into that category, the manual part that you are talking about. So we found our product vision that we want to remove that manual tagging. And now everything we do is about focusing on that. So now automatically the ideas keep on coming to everyone who's working, that because the vision is clear to everyone that how to remove it. So now from 52% we have achieved to 72, and we want to go there up to 90-95. I know that we cannot do more than that, and the good thing is we only have 2 data scientists.
Cool.
So it is not investment, it is about the focus.
That's true as well. That's true as well. And it also, there are some, I mean, there is quite a bit of models out there already, and also AI systems that, like Watson and other systems that you can use to process data and provide different things. So it really depends if these models already are existing out there and maybe you can utilize them or not, or stuff like that. But what you just described is actually, so what you just described is actually directly, that's exactly outcome-based, thinking. Because, that's exactly what outcome is, because the outcome you're trying to get is, and that's where the vision is so important, because that vision really focuses you on that outcome, right? So you're saying, I want to get to an outcome of 99%. So everyone really know, oh, if that's the outcome we're trying to get, then what areas of the product I can improve to get to that outcome.
Okay, I think I got it. Actually, you're saying the right thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what outcome is all about, right?
Okay.
Because you need to be able to measure something. And you need to understand, first of all, what are the outcomes you're trying to get to, and then why are you trying to get to those outcomes?
Okay.
Because the why is important, right?
Yeah. No, I absolutely get
it. So once you know what outcomes you're trying to get to and why, then you have to see, how do I quantify this? So the quantification you said was that percentage.
Accuracy, right?
The accuracy. Which eventually what will happen, you can measure it also by the amount of hours that are reduced for people to do this tagging by hand.
Right.
So if without the system, it takes them 10 hours a week, and I don't know how long it takes. I'm just throwing numbers. And with 52% accuracy, maybe it reduces it to 50 or 48 percent of the hours it took them before, because they probably still have to look into things and see, does that make sense? It's more of a suggestion than anything, right? So it's give them a suggestion for the tagging, and then they probably still spend time to check that suggestion. So maybe it reduces it to 7 hours, maybe it reduces it to 8 hours. And then with 99%, and they will trust it also after they see it, they will trust it, then it can reduce it to, 5 minutes or an hour a week or whatever, right?
Right.
So no time at all.
So that's how we can put our goals as well. Like the whole vision and the goal that, okay, if it's taking then 10 hours right now, then 8, then 7, and start reducing it to.
Exactly. And sometimes you will have to tell yourself, you know what, I cannot really, there is a bottom line I can reach, and there is no way I can go below that. Or you can say, no, I can solve this entire thing, right?
Okay, I got it. No,
now, to you, the 99% make more sense probably to the team, to the developers, to the engineers. But to the users, when you sell it, it might more make sense the time that they saved.
Right.
Right. So that's why you have to look at it that way as well. It's not just an outcome of reducing the technology, improving the technology to work better,
Right.
but it's what value do I give to the users?
Okay. So you
Like,
would say that outcomes are of two types. One that are people chase, the internal team, and one that the customers, which is helping the customer. So there are two kind of outcomes.
I think the main outcome, yes, there might be more types of outcomes, but I think the main outcomes that you always have to be thinking about is why you're doing this.
Right.
So you're not doing this to, make your developers happy that they solved a very tough problem,
Mm-hmm.
but you're making it to create value to your users.
Right.
So you
So
always have to think about what is that value you're creating, right?
what is the value that we are creating for the user, and
Yeah,
for chasing that value, for solving that value, create some internal things that will help developers, right?
exactly. So this is where it's almost like it's part of the vision versus strategy. So the vision is that you're reducing time to the users, you're automating things for them, and it helps
Right.
them do their jobs, right?
Right.
Strategy here is how do you get there? So
Mm-hmm.
there could be many strategies. One of them is that you remove that problem of tagging that takes a lot of time,
Right.
and reduce it to 1%.
Right.
So you do it by this automation,
Right.
but there could be many other things that you do to solve this problem.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Oh, I get
this
your
is
point.
where, yeah. So this is where you, over time, you will find different strategies to do that,
Mm-hmm.
and you prioritize between those strategies. So if the strategy right now is to reduce this specific problem, then you focus your efforts on that.
Okay, got your
Next
point.
year, maybe next year the strategy is going to be something different because you will find another place where you can reduce time for them,
Right.
right? So from their perspective, from the user perspective, the outcome is the same outcome.
Right.
From your perspective or internally, the outcome together is based on the strategy you're taking.
Right. It took some time to get to this vision. Like I always, so I looked at your comments, I looked at so many comments, and everyone says that product vision is super important, super important, super important. And I
Mhm.
get that.
Mhm.
But how many times you know that would be the product vision?
How do you know that you got the product vision? Hello?
How can you get to a vision quick? Yeah, like it took me some time. I understood the problem that people were doing manual tagging, but I was not thinking it that way. I was more focused on accuracy, 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 and I was not even thinking that the best thing that I'm doing is actually no more manual tagging. That should be the vision, like saving them countless of hours. So that
Mhm.
kind of clarity came to me 6 months after I even launched the product. So does that
I see.
happen with more people as well?
Um, I think everything in product is a learning thing while you're working on it. It's very hard to learn product by reading and not experiencing it.
Right.
That's the truth of it. When people are getting into product,
Mm-hmm.
it's one thing about, yeah, I learned and I read books and whatever, and actually
Mm-hmm.
experiencing it.
Right.
Because when you're in it, there are so many aspects and so many challenges and problems to deal
Mm-hmm.
with that you're kind of like losing the big picture sometimes.
Okay. No, I completely get your point. So, uh,
So what I suggest you do is you sometimes try to be mindful about it and pull yourself out of what you're doing right now,
mm-hmm.
and like just put time for yourself to think strategically and think about the big picture,
Mm-hmm.
because that's usually where the vision is coming from. The vision comes from a big picture thing where you're trying to really it's a top-down kind of more than bottom-up, where we're
Okay.
usually doing a lot of bottom-up things, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
But then this is almost like building a Lego without any instructions, that you see all the different parts and like, where does it all fit, right? So, so the instructions that you get with the Legos show you the vision. This is how it's going to look like,
Mm,
and it gives you very good instructions how to get there.
right.
But with product, we don't have any instructions, so it's very hard. So that's
No,
why
I totally.
you have to envision it. You have to put it in your vision. You have to put this strategic view on a regular basis. So that's why I'm saying trying to pull yourself from the daily stuff on a regular basis to see where actually do see that strategic thing, right?
Okay. I
And the
got
strategic thing here is about the way to do that usually is if you look at the vision of the company,
it. Mm,
where does the company want to get, what are you trying to do, and based on that you define the vision for the product as an overall, not just a specific feature, but as an overall, what is the vision of the product.
mm,
There are ways to do that. There are templates out there to do that. I can send you some links.
okay.
Um, and then based on that vision, you start thinking about how do you get to that vision?
Mm-hmm.
How do I achieve this? How do you achieve this vision? And that vision could be a multi-year type of thing. So you could think, okay, I really, really want to have a vision like that, but I know it will take me 5 years to build it because it's a lot
Right.
of work.
Right.
And to get there, you have to start somewhere. So usually, where is it that you start? And you may have a starting point with the existing product that you have and the existing clients you have already,
Right.
which is good.
Right.
That's where the challenge of a startup that don't have all of this yet, right? And and then you basically build that strategy how to get there. And the strategy can change all the time based on what you learn while executing it,
Okay. No, I
right?
totally completely get it. I think it's more with being the clarity of the vision. So the like for this product, it's so clear now that even with two people and one developer, we are going in the right direction. We don't
Mm-hmm.
need more people, right? Because it's just so clear and it's everyone's head. And what we have done actually in every sheet that we maintain, which that is a vision that we have pasted
Mm.
everywhere.
That's good. That's good.
Yes. So like
And
whenever they,
even
yeah, go
and,
ahead.
and so the vision that you stated over there is based on the percentage of the tagging, or is based on the time reduced for the user?
So currently it's no more manual tagging. In if I talk about it's so simple for everyone to understand that
Yeah.
this is how we have put it. And if we like you mentioned, once we talk to the customers, for them the communication is manual resources. You don't need 10 people, you need two.
Mm-hmm.
You can save around 30 to 40 hours per week per person.
Mm-hmm.
So they were spending so much time because they're just doing manual tagging, and it's not something that you love to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
It's a lot
so
of
there's a
manual
lot of
work that,
churn,
yeah.
employee
Yeah.
churn, if you keep on doing this, right?
Definitely. Yeah. It's a manual work that definitely could be replaced by a machine if a machine is good enough to do that.
Yeah. So I think that's what we are for. So for every both the data scientist and developer, it's like no more manual tagging. That's
Mm-hmm.
what their like the focus is. And then we created three strategies. This is first priority number one that we are going to do, which took it to 72%. And now then this another strategy that will
Yeah.
take it to like 75, 77. And
Yeah.
reaching to 95, we'll have to make more strategies. We don't have a strategy right now.
Yeah. So that's exactly what outcome is,
Right.
because the difference between output and outcome is that output is usually what they deliver the
Mm-hmm.
developers,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't necessarily means that it create any value or
Mm-hmm.
get you anywhere with your vision.
Right.
And the thing is that outcome are much easier. Why many companies are still outcome versus being output. Sorry,
Right.
output versus outcome, because
Mm-hmm.
its output is much easier to measure and to plan. So managers and executives, they want to know, okay, when are we done with this? And with outcomes, you never know when you're done with it, because you're done with it when you get to that outcome. But there is no direct plan that you can say, on this date, I will get to that outcome, because
Right.
I have to learn through on the way, and not everything is going to work.
Right. Absolutely. So there will be experiments as well, right?
Exactly.
And one more question on this outcome part. So now we have an internal outcome, like you mentioned about the metrics, and then there is an customer value outcome, which is about saving hours, for example. And
Mhm.
how about business outcome? So so there should be a business outcome as well
Yeah.
attached to it, right?
The thing is with the business outcomes is
Mm.
that it's usually business outcomes are talking about revenue,
Yep.
and revenue is not always controlled by the application.
Mm-hmm.
There are other things that control it, like sales and marketing
Mm-hmm.
and customer support, and a lot of different aspects. So that's the first thing, that it's hard for you to say, to measure, to or it's unfair to connect. Basically, it's not fair to connect your business outcomes to the product itself. That's the
Okay.
first thing. The second thing, so basically what you're saying, let's say that you had to, although it's still important to do, I'm not saying it's not, but it's not really in the control of the product people and the product team.
Right.
The second thing is also, you have to look at leading indicators versus lagging indicators.
Okay.
A lagging indicator, like, is a sales, like a revenue. What is the revenue
Mm.
of the company? That's a lagging indicator, because you
Mm-hmm.
can only you can only measure it after it happened.
Right.
Leading indicators are more like, if you can prove that based on a specific improvement, that based on a specific feature that people are using, there will be a specific outcome eventually that will
Mm-hmm.
increase revenue to the organization.
Right.
So let's say, for example, you have a set of features in your application, and then if a person use feature A on the first week of using the application, then there is 100% more chance that they will continue using the application and not churn,
Right.
right? So this is indirectly leading to your revenue.
Right.
This is what we call a leading indicator,
Mm-hmm.
because it's something that you can then see, okay, how do I make sure that this user is using this feature in the first week?
Right.
So
Right.
you can
Right. Right. Right.
actually
Mm.
you can actually have more control over that through the application, either
Mm.
improving the flow of their usage, or
Mm-hmm.
doing onboarding to show them this feature,
Mm-hmm.
or moving this feature to be more visible to them, or sending them emails. So there might be some marketing involved in that,
Yeah.
but it's a team effort now to make sure that you try to get more users to use this specific feature.
Okay. I understand. So the like you mentioned about, generally we talk about revenue, but we also mention about churn or retention, right?
Mhm.
So building a feature, even though you're not sure about that right now, which is solving a major pain point, can we like mention or predict or something, say that this feature is going to make sure that these amount of people who are going to use it retained or
Mhm.
stick to the product, or you can only measure this after?
So if you can only measure it after, then it might be a bit too late,
Yeah.
right?
So how can you
So it's always better.
yeah, go ahead. So how can you like make
So
sure
part,
that we are proactive about this? Yeah.
yeah, so part of it is collecting data and see how users behave with your
Mm-hmm.
application.
Right.
And and then see who are the users that are successful users. They can continue, they coming back,
Right.
and they don't churn. They're
Right.
your power users, right?
Right.
And then try to see why they are using that, what makes them unique over users that churn and don't use the system as good as they are.
Mm-hmm.
And once you find what makes them unique, you can try to mimic that by either marketing only to people like that. So that also
Right.
can help, with identifying your persona and your
Focus.
end user
Mm.
that will make sense to market to.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Also within the application, if you have other users that are the same persona, they should be similar to this, but they're not, then try to find out, what get them stuck and help them,
Okay.
right?
Okay, which has a similar persona and why they haven't used it. So somehow help them, and even if
Yeah.
you have to go on a call and help them if they are enterprises, right? So
Whatever it is, yeah, whatever it is that you have to do, if so that's also could be different strategies to do that, so you can
mm-hmm.
define the strategy. So again, here you can define it again as an outcome. So the outcome is to reduce churn from your end, from the
Right,
end result,
right,
and then to get higher percentage of people to go through a hurdle that they have, and then you
mm-hmm.
find what those hurdles are, and then there could be different strategies how to deal with them. So
Okay.
one strategy could be to connect to them directly,
Mm.
to uh, give them one-on-one help, or
Right.
webinars that they can learn more about the system, or to change the system a bit to make it easier for them to use, because maybe
Yep.
you will find a place where they got stuck in the system.
Yeah, and they could not find it, like that happens a lot as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, I got it. So uh, I think it makes sense now. So now there came a question, like one thing that I and Rajneesh were discussing, like the other PM in the company, is how do you define this outcome for every problem statement? I'll I'll give you an example as well. So let's suppose you remember on LinkedIn we spoke about export. Why do they export the CSV, right? On Rasika's, I think, comment and all, and I said that it's important to know why they do that, right?
Mhm.
And because it can help you build something in the product that they are struggling with, right? So
Yes, 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 yes.
so
Instead of
so
exporting. Mhm.
yeah. So now, so what we figured out, uh, so that's like number one, we figured out that they were downloading the export of the survey responses. They were downloading it. Why? Because they had to make graphs or charts in their own color theme, so that when they present to the company internally as well to the management, like they have a 3 month kind of feedback meeting, so they wanted to put everything in their color, and they could not do that in the platform, so they had to download the data again,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yeah,
So that was one thing, and I loved that we went on that call, right, to
yeah,
understand why they use that, because now I
yeah,
know what I need to build, right?
yeah, yeah.
Then the second thing, they mentioned another thing, that okay, why do you use more? Then we probed further. So they said, now I have to use some kind of filters which are related to my business values, like business value, no, not business values, the business things, like I want to measure NPS via this plan, that plan, right? And they did not. So we did not make them understand that you can use contact properties to actually get that data here as well, right? So
Hmm.
that got to another problem. And then
Yeah.
more things like this. Okay, I want to put this chart into the PPT, I want cross tabulation, I want this, I want that. So it gave us a lot of things. But if I
Yes.
talk about outcome of each one of them, it's all saving hours. So
Yeah.
can saving hours be the outcome for like every feature that I build for that report
Uh,
part?
Maybe that could be.
Okay.
Um, I think that once you start doing this and thinking about other type of saving or other business values, you might come up with other things.
Okay.
So it could be, one of them could be make the system more sticky.
Okay.
So that could be an outcome as well for users. It could be I think there could be more things, but saving time is definitely out there, because that's a lot of those things that you want to. Well, it also depends what you're competing with, right? So this is where jobs to be done start to get into the picture, because if you're competing with Excel spreadsheets, like you said, and they tag and stuff, then definitely this is like automating things for them and saving time for them. If you are competing in something within the application, so it's your application that you provide them, but it's missing these specific features, so now they have to do it outside.
Right.
So maybe it's not saving time, maybe it's a conveniency of using it all in one platform. Maybe it is more stickiness, so they use your platform more than they don't have to get out of the system. So you know how in LinkedIn don't like usually that you put external websites. If you put an external website, the algorithm is not going to show that post as much as it show posts without external URLs.
I didn't know that actually.
Yeah, because they don't want you to get out of their system. They prefer that you stay in LinkedIn.
Okay.
So
but that's not value from the customer. I don't think that's right.
That's more value to them, yes.
Yeah.
You're right. Here it's a bit more. It's a bit different because it's more value to LinkedIn that they want you to stay in LinkedIn. But and that might be. It's an interesting. You're right. I mean, there is an outcome over there that, for their perspective, it's the system is more cohesive. There is more. They stay in one platform and they don't have to switch to different platforms, right?
Right.
But some people I've seen, it actually came up in our podcast about the product analytics.
Okay.
Where people like a system that only does product analytics, and then you have to use other systems to do other things.
Right.
Or you prefer a system that does many different things in one system.
Right.
Right, like as a platform.
Yep.
I'm more on that side of having one product that does a lot of things, because then I don't have to switch, I don't have to integrate. It's just easier for everyone.
Right.
So that could be, the outcome for them. But on the flipping side of that, the outcome for you will be more stickiness.
Right. No, I I actually get this point, and the debate that you're mentioning. So ideally, everyone wants a product which has everything. So now, why Zoho's, Freshdesk, Salesforce are popular? Because they're good at one thing for sure. Like Freshdesk is for like the chat support, right? And Salesforce is for CRM, right? They're good at one thing, but they have now made Salesforce Desk, like sales desk, right? And they have made the ticketing system, the CRM, the marketing automation. They have done like everything, so the person stays in the system and they don't have this problem as well. But now, how do you find a vision like that, Moshe? Then it comes again, right? So your vision was for just 2-3 years of keeping that as a CRM, and then your vision like expanded that now I want to.
If you look at the history of those companies, their vision probably changed.
They changed, right?
It's probably changed. I would guess so. I think vision it could change, and it might be an ongoing thing that the executives are looking at and thinking and seeing which should it change or not. I don't think there is an actual rule or template how to come up with a vision for a company or a vision for a product. There are some templates for vision for a product, but it's all based on still your ideas and your internal problems that you're trying to solve and where you are, right?
Or a gut feeling as well.
Or your gut feelings, and then you have to do your due diligence to experiment and see if that actually works. Exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
So one other question that I had. Now I understand the outcomes. Outcome can be different, and so if we can, then every feature that we build should have a customer outcome, a business outcome, if possible, right? And then a kind of like a metric or an outcome for internal people, that
Mm-hmm.
how they can measure that, right?
Yeah.
Some kind of a metric like that, so then it helps everyone, right?
Yeah.
Now uh, if you get all these things done, and if you are stuck with the 20 problem statements that can have this kind of like you have done 20 problem statement, you have 20 outcomes, and then how would you actually prioritize? Is it like totally based on the product vision, or it is based on that this outcome can bring, like it saves more hours or it gives more value to the customer? So how do you like use the vision and that outcome driven value and prioritize something?
Yeah, it's definitely based on what give you more value,
Hmm,
and stuff like that. It's also to build a strategy, the right strategy, and that's where the strategy is, right? So you're
right.
strategizing, what you need to tackle first, etc.
Hmm,
To build that strategy, you need to have some insights from what you know, what works, what not, what your experimentation says,
hmm,
what the data says about the
hmm,
user and stuff like that. So that's where it's an ongoing thing all the time. You build that strategy, and
hmm,
based on that strategy, it really can help you do the prioritization. There
right.
could definitely be competing ideas, and maybe you want to experiment,
Hmm,
to say, okay, let's experiment this or this, and then see what works more, and then we maybe we focus on that,
right.
right? Or
Okay.
you could have, if you have the resources for it, you could have multiple things done at the same time,
Yeah.
or you can even have competing teams competing on things, and then say, okay, let's see who gets it better. Sometimes hackathons are cool way to do that.
Right.
So you bring to the team, you say, let's do a hackathon day. Here is a problem we're trying to solve. Here is the outcome we're trying to get. Come up with ideas how to get it. And then you'll see what they will come up with. And it could be amazing, actually, sometimes to see that.
it I actually did this for the first time
Yeah,
last month. Uh, so there was an onboarding thing
good.
that we wanted to do. Like how can we increase like just 5% of that onboarding? So our onboarding, the main thing is the first value the person will get if they get a survey response and check the reports. That's the first
Mhm.
most important thing for a feedback platform, right? If that doesn't
Right.
happen, there's no point of text analysis or anything. So that is the first value. So we wanted to get it to like how can a person who signs up get to like it was around 20 to 23%, that person who can get the response. How can we increase it to like 5% or 7%, right? And that's where we did that hackathon. We took 4 or 5 teams, separate teams, and told them the outcome for like, and it was a surprise for them that no more work today, only this hackathon, and the people would get this much voucher or Amazon vouchers, that or a party, these 4 people, right? And it worked.
Did they like it?
They
Yeah,
loved it, and now
yeah.
they're pushing, can
It's
you give us more?
you should do it on an ongoing basis. I think I've been to a place where they did it once a month or once every other month,
Okay.
and over there they did it like you could work on anything you wanted. So it was a bit tactic because everyone developed things that had no relation to what the company was doing. so, so they just had fun with it. But I think that it's actually better if you, almost bring up problems that you have that are kind of in the backlog, or they're very unknown. You don't know what to do with them,
Right.
and or you can tell them, it has to be somehow related to what we're doing,
Okay.
even if you
Yeah.
didn't bring up the problem. And people loves it because it changes the pace a bit. It gives them the ability to think for a day or two about something different,
Right.
and then they present what they've done at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And then even you can do a competition between them, so someone can
Right.
actually win if people vote or something. So you do
Yes.
vote,
Yeah.
and
Exactly.
then if you see an idea that really is a cool idea that you should think can go into the product,
Right.
it's a win-win for everyone.
Yeah. One last question, Moshe, and then we can talk about other things. Um, you, how do you create an outcome-driven roadmap?
Yeah, that's a good question. So it's I cannot say that I wrote one myself.
Okay.
So this is I'm talking more from reading about it rather than from
Okay.
experience. But when you have that strategy and you have that goal to get to a certain place,
Mm-hmm.
then you can actually break it down to those smaller components and say, if my goal is to get to 99% accuracy of the tagging,
Mm-hmm.
then I can say now the goal is to get to 75%, and then so in the next month we're working on that.
Right.
um, you you could also add to that as a lower level of items that are specific to things that the team wants to try. So
Okay.
it can be more like not so much an outcome, but a specific activity that the team is trying to do to achieve that,
Okay.
right?
I
So
think for
if you are
this.
trying to
Mhm,
build,
go ahead.
yeah, if you're trying to build a specific model, you have different models that you're trying to look into that might help with that. Then you're saying, okay, so this week or for the next 2 weeks, we're working on this model. And then
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks after that, we'll work on that model, whatever it is, right?
Right. Right. I
So
got
that
it.
can become a bit more specific ideas.
I think that's a great point. I think I have now. I got something that I could use actually. Like this. Okay, this experimentation thing, like you mentioned. So there was another thing related to this. In your roadmap, how would you have a place for these internal things? Like I want to optimize the database, right? Because for us, it's like huge data set. Like if the chatbots and everything, 1 million things are coming in a month, right? 1 million rows are coming in a month. Then we have to optimize for that uh, data set. And these tech team people call this DPU. I'm not like, I'm the product guy, but not that technical. So they call this DPU, right? So this, and then they talk about code refactoring a lot. On Scrums, they talk about it. So how do you place in those parts in the roadmap? And like, it's like all the time, or it's like every other 3 months and you'll add something like that?
Yeah, there are different companies doing it in different ways. I would prefer to do it all the time, to have almost
Okay.
like a percentage of the activities dedicated for that. So if you know that you have, they're already talking about capacity of the team and what might be the capacity there.
Mm-hmm.
But if you put like I don't know, 30% of the capacity towards technical debt, in any specific refactoring, and maybe also including technical support, so to solve urgent problems and stuff like that.
Okay.
These things are always going to be there, so
Mm-hmm.
you have to have that taken care of.
Right. Okay. So I think currently, like, we have done it like every 3 months we put something like that, not like all the time consistent. When sometimes it happens like that when the water is above the neck, then
Yeah,
then we pick
yeah.
it up,
And that's the
right?
thing, you don't want to get to that situation. You want
Yep.
to have constant improvements all the time. That's why I like usually to have that
Right.
capacity to work on these things all the time.
Yeah.
And usually the way to do that is that you create a second backlog,
Right.
which is a technical backlog,
Okay.
and the technical people are managing this backlog, and they prioritize what is the
Mm-hmm.
most important thing to do.
That's a great idea.
And
Mm-hmm.
then they can take from that backlog and they say, okay, we have dedicated time to work on that throughout all the time.
Right.
So let's now work on this one. And they can also, think about it as outcomes. So the outcome is make the system more, faster, more, whatever it is, right?
Right.
Make our code readable, make our code, coverage for the testing, automated testing. So
Right.
there could be a lot of these type of outcomes that can be technical outcomes.
Right.
But you start thinking about it in the same way. How do I get to this specific outcome, and what do I need to do, and what's the strategy to do it? And this way they can prioritize what is more important, to make the system more secure or to make the system work faster, or so.
Yeah, no, I get it. I think for us, the way you mentioned it, it also relates to the customer, because what happens when they use filters, when they are loading the data and they use filters, and every month 1 million data is like coming in there. So when they use filters, it becomes a little slow, right?
The scalability is important.
Yeah. So I think that's what it's getting there. Yeah.
And it will always happen that when you have a new product, you don't have a lot of users, you don't think about scalability, and then you build it in a way and you say, okay, when I have this amount of users, I will deal with that. But then you don't have time to deal with that because you forget about it, or you have other things to do with. So it's always important to carve this time to be able to deal with that.
Right. I think I get your point. And now finally we have focused on this, because like the good thing is, even like we are working with enterprises mostly, and we are not going to small medium enterprises at all, just totally large enterprises. So what happens when they come, first of all, it will take time for them to come, but if you get a company like they have, you have onboarded them, then at least 15 people will start using your product, and then those 15 people will create so many surveys that you'll get those so many responses. The usage volume actually like gets it, like if 15 companies have actually started using you today. So so there's always like this. Well, first we were thinking about like, should we go to small enterprises or like large enterprises? Now we see that the difference is in the sales cycle. That's the most different thing, I would say. And the number of users, then it's in that case it's similar.
Yeah,
for sure. Okay.
And some large organizations might have different requirements because of security and stuff, so they might like their own cloud, like private cloud, or on premise or stuff like that. So that's a whole other thing.
I think banking, legal, that's where we have been like given this request. So one place now we have like it's already, they are now in the phase of getting the contracts done and everything, and we have to install that on premise. So that has also happened, but it's with banking actually.
But that's create a whole different type of problems for you, support and upgrades and all of that stuff.
But I think we'll deal with that as well. Someday you have to deal with every problem that comes in, right? So I think we'll deal with it.
It's a good problem. It's a good problem to have.
And hope the audience understands something about the outcomes like I did.
Excellent.
Thank
you very much.
See you again.
It was a pleasure. And good luck with the outcomes.
See you, man. Bye-bye. Thank you.